These workers don't look like your average Cordona folk.
They're refugees from the camp.
That's our way in, Sherry.
Hey, yo. This is private property. You lost something.
I'm here to discuss business with Mr. Bernadotte. I tried the front door, but...
Mr. Bernadotte isn't seeing anyone. You have 3 seconds to walk away or you'll never walk again. Capito?
It's in Mr. Bernadotte's best interest to...
1.
I did try to resolve this peacefully.
I'm coming for you.
Take a rest, my friend. No more.
The snuff's ready. Give him the pepper snuff.
Don't cry.
The snuff's ready.
Take a rest.
Give him the pepper snuff. The snuff's ready. You can overcome the brute now.
No more.
Give him the pepper snuff.
I couldn't miss the party.
Don't. The snuff's. Give him the pepper snuff.
Don't bother moving.
The snuff's ready. Sherry, look. This seems familiar.
Masks, traditional for the Chokwe people of Central Africa. A Dogon statue from West Africa. A century old at least. VH Grindley Flow Blue tableware. This is what lies behind the facade of Bernadotte Company Limited. Let's see what's hidden there. Vogel's stolen painting. Isn't it curious how it developed into a much more interesting case?
No, sir. Don't hurt me.
It's all right. An
Like you
amazing
didn't
piece
harm
of
the folks
culture.
on the
I
way
imagine
here.
Many collectors and museums would be interested in having it.
Don't come any closer. One step and I'll shred you to pieces.
Have you ever tried to pick up your teeth with broken fingers?
Righto. Yes. Yep. Well, excuse me, sir. I think I hear... I've got to... It's better I leave.
Whoa. Oh, wow. That was as if somebody put my words in your mouth.
The Bernadotte Company Limited trade network reaches the most distant colonies of the Great Empire.
It must be very convenient for a man like Bernadotte.
I suppose it's Mr. Bernadotte with our fine governor. 1875. It's taken a few years back. John, how many people in Cordona have a photograph with the governor, do you think?
You definitely don't have one.
Please don't shoot me. I have a family. Spare me.
So, you cut through all the guards just to talk to me. Then come here, and we shall talk. Whenever you're ready. I'd hate to intrude.
Bad news. The thug you sent to the refugee camp only succeeded in stabbing himself. His next and final journey will be to the morgue.
Hold your horses. Who the hell are you?
Sherlock Holmes. And you are Niccolo Bernadotte, a smuggler, kidnapper, and notorious cutthroat, among other things.
Few men would dare waltz into my office and address me like that. You are either overconfident or unintelligent. This is private property. Give me one reason why I should not shoot you on the spot. I am sure my friends at the station would call it self-defense.
I was hired, privately, to investigate the recent theft of a painting from an art gallery. My investigation led me to a man from your organization, and thus, to you, Mr. Bernadotte.
That is quite a stretch. Why would I need to steal a painting when I could buy anyone I wanted?
Interestingly enough, I spotted the stolen painting in your storeroom.
I buy and sell a lot of things, Mr. Holmes. Unfortunately, if this is true, it is not the first time I have been sold stolen merchandise. I presume you were hired by the owner of the gallery. Tell them to contact me, and we'll sort out the situation. So, this painting is why you broke into my office.
Mr. Bernadotte, do you know the name Boniface Mercurio?
I do not.
Mercurio was a local artist. Recently, a man broke into his apartment, ransacked the place, and killed him. The thief was looking for something.
You are testing my patience, boy.
In a moment, the connection will reveal itself. As I said, your man was found dead in the refugee camp. He was there to kidnap a woman, but the other refugees intervened to try and save her. The ensuing scuffle resulted in the man's accidental suicide. He sported the same tattoo as your men in this building. In fact, it also bears a resemblance to the one on your neck. Care to explain what business your man had with this woman?
You have no idea what you are talking about. I can assure you this was no kidnapping. The refugees in the camp are on edge. What happened there is a tragic accident, one I am not responsible for.
For what reason was your man there if not to abduct her?
Why would I answer? You are yet to justify your presence in the slightest. So many words, so little action. When you barged into my office, Mr. Holmes, I got the impression you wanted to talk business. Now I see you had come just to talk. Tell me exactly what you want, or get out.
It was necessary groundwork for what comes next. I have enough evidence to conclude that the gallery thief, the artist's killer, and the dead man in the camp are all the same person.
Your time is almost up, Mr. Holmes.
Before you draw your gun, there is one final detail I am yet to mention. The young woman your man was tasked to collect from the refugee camp had been defiled at a perverse masquerade party. That violation was captured in a photograph by Boniface Mercurio and used as a reference for his painting. The photo shows the attacker's face.
Finally. That's why you're here, Mr. Holmes. You have the photograph.
It is what your man was after when he broke into Mercurio's apartment, and it is what you're after too, isn't it, Mr. Bernadotti?
You have the photograph with you. How much do you want for it?
I am not naive enough to carry it with me, but I am yet to decide what I shall do with it. I know the man in the photo is a British envoy. What interest do you have in his downfall?
I must admit, I am rather impressed by how comprehensively you have pursued this matter. And so, you deserve the honest answer. My business dealings are often arduous in their bureaucracy. A man in his position, willing to look the other way, could ease my work significantly. In return, I will make sure no one looks his way either. A favor for a favor.
Also known as blackmail, the modus operandi of any true professional.
It was not originally my idea. Mercurio set things in motion, extorting the envoy for the most trivial of ends. Money. In response, the envoy hired my man to retrieve the painting and the photograph, eliminating Mercurio's leverage. I only learned the whole story after the artist was killed in his home.
And rather than extricate yourself, instead you took over Mercurio's venture.
It fell into my lap. As a businessman, I simply seized the opportunity. Now, how much do you want for the image?
I could not help but appreciate the collection of smuggled artifacts in your storeroom. You have rather diversified your business.
Oh, high and mighty of you, Mr. Holmes. Not all smuggling is immoral. I pay generous rates to developing cultures and spread their culture to eager buyers. And furthermore, I supply many immigrants with a taste of home.
A very convenient way of thinking.
I have traveled widely, Mr. Holmes. I've seen people in far-flung lands for whom my services are a lifeline. Without them, they would starve. The tax on cargo is often so absurd that it would be more profitable to simply sink your ship than dock it in the harbor. And trust me, I am speaking from experience.
Why did you send your man to remove the woman from the camp?
Without a photograph, her testimony was the next best thing. Securing her was in everyone's interest. Victims and witnesses all too often disappear. I thought the girl was safer with us. I did not anticipate what would happen at the camp.
I saw refugees from the camp at your warehouse. They work for you.
I have made certain arrangements with City Hall and the police. Thanks to me, refugees can work and be paid. It's a pathway to freedom.
And how much do you save by capitalizing on their cheap labor?
I have heard no complaints. They seem happy just to get out of that slum.
Why should I give you the photograph?
Just name your price.
What if my price were not money? You claim to have connections, Mr. Bernadotte. Perhaps you could improve conditions for the refugees. Give them a chance for a better life.
Ha! I do have connections, Mr. Holmes, but help the whole camp? You are asking too much. I could, however, make arrangements for one person. The woman who was violated will have her own home outside the camp, solely for her and her child. She will no longer be a refugee, but a princess. That I can guarantee.
Is that really possible?
It will be neither fast nor easy, but I can do it. She deserves it, don't you agree? And as for her abuser, he will serve me, as much as he deserves.
So, in your plan, everybody will be given their due. Especially you, Mr. Bernadotte.
Seems like a fair deal, no? I doubt anyone could offer you better. Simply give me the photograph, and the world becomes a better place. I give you my word. I am positive our deal will benefit.
The front door's now open, sir. You can leave through it. If you want, of course.
Mr. Holmes, you've returned. Have you uncovered anything new about the theft?
I've brought news, but not all of it will please you.
Fill me in, Mr. Holmes. I won't shoot the messenger.
I tracked down Boniface Mercurio.
I presume he wasn't delighted about the situation.
He was not having a good day on account of his murder. Killed in his own flat by the same person that stole his painting.
Oh, sweet Mercurio, perishing in the pursuit of his art. How apt. I will miss his exceptional sense of humor.
I located the thief, but found him rather cold. He was tight-lipped about the painting, too.
Huh, he's dead. How very droll, Mr. Holmes. One presumes you were not responsible.
It was an accident at the refugee camp. He impaled himself on his own knife.
Life is nothing if not cruel and capricious. What about the stolen painting? Have you located it?
I found the source of Mercurio's artistic inspiration. A photograph. What troubled me was that the sexual act captured was non-consensual.
She was violated? Dear God, how despicable.
Her abuser was in fact the British envoy. Mercurio took a picture of him committing the atrocity and then used it as artistic inspiration.
I had no idea a mere break-in would eventually expose such barbarity.
I found the painting, but I could not retrieve it.
Well then, where is it?
In Bernadotti's office.
Bernadotti? That shady businessman? Why would he steal it from me?
I'm afraid you'll have to ask him yourself.
I take it you found something more then.
Mr. Vogel, I want you to make everything public, including the photograph. I'm sure you have a connection at the Cordona Chronicle.
Ah, Mr. Holmes. Loyal to your own truth till the end. Yes, I'm acquainted with the staff of the Chronicle. The story is sensational, and will surely draw attention to the gallery. But you must be aware that exposing the scandal will further hurt the victim. Does that not bother you?
No matter what one does, the truth tends to come out, as well it should. I won't be the one to stand in its way.
Though it's only your subjective truth being exposed. Not that I'm judging. It's perfectly reasonable for everyone to have their own views.
When you called me, you knew exactly what you would get.
Oh, but I'm not like you, Mr. Holmes. I cannot be sure of anything. Regardless, I must thank you, for art's sake. Well, now that we've resolved all of our outstanding matters, I have a gift for you. I took the liberty of having it delivered to Stonewood Manor. I am told it belonged to your mother.
And what exactly have you sent me?
Frankly, I'm not sure how to answer that. I trust you'll know.
Previously, you mentioned there may have been more to my mother's passing than consumption. It appears you were right.
Oh dear, I'd hoped to be wrong.
She was unstable, mentally unwell. She required sustained specialized treatment, but her madness persisted.
I knew that Violet had disappeared from the public eye, but had no idea of her suffering. I cannot imagine what you're feeling.
I'm fine. Thank you, Mr. Vogel. I am curious to see what you have procured.
I think I'll leave the exhibition in its current state for a while. I'll call it The Art of Vandalism.
Just look at this thing. It's huge.
It's a bizarre object, and yet oddly familiar.
Did you just remember something?
Yes. A room full of curiosities and artifacts. I think I can find it in the manor.
Sherlock. So, you continue to pursue the imaginary. I had hoped you might have got all this out of your system by now.
Mycroft, what are you doing here? Get out of my house.
It's my house, actually. I've come to bring you back.
I have no interest in returning, let alone with you. I know you lied about Mother all these years, claiming she was merely ill, but she was unstable. She never had tuberculosis. She was not recuperating, but mentally deteriorating, and you never once thought to tell me. How dare you?
I shall not indulge this petulant tantrum. You can just tire yourself out and then slink back to London with your tail between your legs.
Just tell me everything. I'm an adult now. Show me the basic courtesy of an explanation. You know I will find out eventually.
The goal was stability, and that's what you got. The right thing for everyone was to try and move on from her passing.
The consequences of one's actions determines what is right or wrong.
Yes, exactly. The ends justify the means. After leaving Cordona, Sherlock, you had a normal childhood. In London, I was able to support you, guide you, shape you into a fine and productive young man. You have so much potential, so much to offer society.
But that's not the end. Now I found the truth, and it has shattered everything I knew about her, about you, and about myself. I feel unstable because of you. Your actions were not justified. Lying never is.
Oh, grow up, Sherlock. It was a white lie which has as much use in the realm of the interpersonal as the international. It is time you come to accept that some things are bigger than yourself.
Oh, you are full of it. You like to pretend you care about the big picture, but it's just an ego trip. You like knowing more than others. You like greasing palms and rubbing shoulders with the rich and powerful. You like having eyes and ears everywhere. The fact it helps the nation is incidental, because all you care about is yourself.
It's true. I have agents everywhere, including Cordona. If you weren't so damn stubborn, you'd realize that means I'm only here for you.
Just look at this thing. It's huge.
I remember returning home with a pair of perfect sticks. We wanted to turn them into training swords.
Oh, that's right. We stood there, frozen, staring at something huge in the main hall. It was a giant aquarium with a living mermaid in it.
Impossible, it must have been something else. Oh, of course, that mortifying hoax presently taking up space in our front yard.
Well, fine. Your memory's better than mine. But I'm sure we started examining it immediately. And someone else was around too.
It was my mother. She asked what I thought of the artifact.
You were really concentrating and holding something in your hand.
I inspected it with a magnifying glass and was able to confirm it was made of two different skeletons. The mermaid was a fake.
And so it was time to smash the thing. Your mother took a hammer and...
Slow down, John. That's not how it happened. I remember other people joined us. The workers took the artifact and placed it into the cabinet of curiosities. It became part of Mother's collection of fakes. She always said that the truth lies in the details. This mermaid helped me to learn that. Ah yes, my mother's studio. She was an authenticator, and this was her cabinet of curiosities.
I never saw the point. What does it matter if some artifact is real or not? It still exists.
One of the most ridiculous fakes I ever saw. Its owner insisted it was a polar bear. He thought the white paint on the brown fur wasn't noticeable. I remember this cozy blanket. It was perfect for...
Wigwam! Oh, that was a joy to build them. Imagining ourselves as wayfarers on the other side of the world. It's a pity how many amazing things are missing from this room.
Oh, I remember these. We used them to spar together until Mycroft found out and forbade us from using real weapons. So many calling cards. Mycroft liked to keep useful people at hand. Reliable and driven. I recognise Mycroft's handwriting. Officer Luciano J. Placido. Carefully opened. Dated 24th of April, 1869. This drawer was always closed. Only Mycroft knew how to open it.
I remember we tried to break it open and spy on him, but alas, had no success. Maybe today's the day. Ah, Sherry.
A full collection. It's somehow so satisfying.
Look, it's Roger. This jolly old man's well preserved. Even looks refreshed.
I doubt he drew much interest at the auction.
That's for the best. I'd be upset if he fell into the wrong hands.
The so-called mummy of a Persian princess. The defrauders did good work, but missed one small detail. It's the mummy of a man. And this one was brought from a German museum. They claimed it belonged to Vikings. Nonsense, of course. Vikings never had horns on their helmets. Clearly, it was deliberately torn. I wonder why someone would do that. The Tulpa, Studies in Tibetan Mentalism. An impressive number of bookmarks. Someone was rather obsessed with this subject. The full plate armour of Sir Robert Saunford. I was told my father won it in a wager.
Armour is armour, but look at his sword. Oh, how badly I wanted to wield the blade. Maybe you take it instead of your pistol.
I'm starting to remember something. Mother said this was among the hunting trophies of a Scottish Viscount.
So he tried to persuade everyone that his forest was inhabited by these beasts. It would have been thrilling if it were actually true.
1852, Bingley, West Yorkshire. This photo caused a lot of fuss. My mother spent some time to prove it was a fake. Another fake Holy Grail. Its owner claimed to be the heir of King Arthur. Scarcely believable. He also insisted a deadly rabbit was hunting him. Watkinson and Holman, Chapter One, by Wallace de Orham.
Oh, Mycroft. He always acts so serious, but then reads tripe like this.
John, if I remember correctly, you couldn't put this book down.
It's a pity how many amazing things are missing from this room.
Ah, the memory comes back. We snuck about watching him.
He closed the drawer and went to the hall. We were like two shadows crawling behind him.
He opened the door to the postman, and they exchanged documents. If it was a real postman, of course. Then he threw some logs into the fire and sat in his armchair to read.
It's as boring now as it was then. I'm sorry, Sherry, but I think that's it.
Wait, John, we never use the fireplace in the mornings. What if... A bit of juniper in the fireplace created a soothing atmosphere. It's the little things, isn't it? I think this is what we're looking for.
I heard footsteps upstairs a second ago. Wait, do we have an attic here? We made it. So what's there?
Single malt whiskey, Mycroft's favourite. Gifted by Queen Victoria herself. Otto Richter. This one is rather thick. Mycroft can be truly dogged in his research. Dossiers on the most influential people on Cordona. Mycroft always had a habit of building files on everyone he met. I used this ladder to look at the top shelf, right? On the day of Mother's breakdown upstairs.
Right you are, Sherry.
We heard a noise. I can't recall of exactly what, and we didn't have a great view from behind the statue. The books and papers from the table somehow ended up on the floor. Now it's coming to the surface. I feel it.
You're not even trying, Sherry. Concentrate.
Come on, Sherry. Let's go outside. Wait. Did you hear that? Come here, Sherry.
You call this progress? Charlatan, amateur. I'm not letting you anywhere near my mother again.
So there was a quarrel between them. I heard a noise in the hall. Let's check it out. Sherry, look.
Mycroft's umbrella.
We've got a
The
parcel
only
here.
outgoing thing in his wardrobe.
Hurry up and let's see what's inside. An invitation that comes with a mask. We can't miss this, Sherry.
Extra, extra! The strike of the eagle! Authorities are barely containing the unrest after the murder of Mark Ridley by the House of the Eagle.
The finest clothes for the finest people on the island.
Landscapes and portraits. Find the one that your house is lacking. Sorry, I have nothing to offer you at present. Garden statues. Sorry, I have nothing to offer you at present.
Exquisite furniture for your home. My goods will brighten up your house. Enjoy your purchase.
Don't miss out on the best carpets on the island.
Merhaba. It's a good day for a purchase. May your purchase bring you joy.
What a monstrosity! Where could such a creature even survive? Mother said this was among the hunting trophies of a Scottish Viscount.
Welcome to the Manchios Mansion. Welcome, sir. I do hope you enjoy yourself.
Enjoy the evening, sir. There is still plenty of time before the grand finale.
All right.
What if I write an article about these people here? Can you help me gather information about Cordona's elite?
No, John, it's definitely not blood, just wine. Gahors, it, I guess.
Sherlock! Friend! I wasn't sure you'd come.
Werner, I see you are not yourself.
The more time you spend here in Cordona, the more I feel it my duty to bring you into our world and show you all we have to offer.
And what is on offer today?
Pleasure, indulgence, relief, and relaxation. You've earned some time for yourself, have you not?
Those who know me would say I'm incapable of it.
Nonsense. I refuse to believe there is anyone permitted to know Sherlock Holmes.
You may be right.
Then free yourself from inhibition and expectation. The night is young, and so are the guests. You should try to enjoy both. It's not healthy for handsome men to spend every night alone, and certainly not in a house filled with such melancholic memories.
I must admit, my travels have proven more taxing than expected. I'm less confident in my life and myself. Time of relaxation seems a distant dream.
So can I tempt you with a physical aid to your moral consolations? There's wine, of course, and something to smoke, or perhaps an artificial paradise? Yes, something more spiritual, a potentiator to sharpen the mind. A 7% solution of, well, that'd be telling, but you must try it.
My mind already operates at a far higher level than most. I struggle to believe anything could improve it. My ultimate duty is to provide the world with truth, and I do that perfectly well as is.
Duty? You've never cared about that before.
Of course I do. Exposing a lie, revealing a fact, that is a moral responsibility.
That's not morality. Morals are what happens afterwards when truth collides with consequence. Do you ever follow up on cases you solved? Do you ever see what happened next, visit the victims, ensure justice is served in the courts? And how do you choose where to direct your attention? Are there not deserving causes to which your brilliance could be applied but isn't?
You ascribe me more power than I possess. I have a narrow skill set and work within that mandate. What occurs afterward is irrelevant.
With every action or inaction you place a finger on the scales of morality. Many in the city would see you as abdicating your responsibility.
I haven't.
Not me, of course. Morality is subjective, just like truth. There is little to be gained from indulging in it, and far better things to indulge in. Now I must insist on easing any burdens I've placed upon your shoulders. Show yourself a kindness, and try this rather delectable concoction.
If this solution truly does assist with thinking, then well, perhaps it would be puerile to overlook an opportunity to study it. I'll take it with me.
Yes, Sherlock. Very good. And now, our evening begins in earnest. I just remembered. I'm sorry, Sherlock. My mind's delightfully impaired. Please take this key. It opens the altar room, past the library.
Pardon? Altar room? What now, Werner?
Go quickly and find our Fabio. Only you can make him talk. I'll join you in a minute. Let Fabio speak for himself.
One of these books must open a secret passage.
Well-known and recent plays to keep up to date with the current trends. These medieval botany and chemistry books look even more satanic than the occult ones. Romantic poetry and prose. Someone's in touch with their feelings. Codex Orchis. Why does this occult book sound like a flower?
Curtains do not guarantee privacy.
And you still need a crack despite being ethereal.
should know what was here before Mancho's family bought it.
That's what I like about this party. Bring me more dirt, Sherry. One more piece, and I can expose these base hedonists.
Mancho's had to enforce the masks after the scandal.
I'll pin them down, Biscoop. Thank you, Sherlock. My God. Was he here this whole time?
This crude tattoo partially covers as slave branding. A blunt force trauma may have suffered an internal hemorrhage. The dagger is heavy and sharp, but lacks balance. This golden handle has a bloodstain on it. This worm-like sigil has been drawn with his own blood. The wound is deep. A precise strike reached the heart. The victim has clenched the fabric so firmly in his fist that it's nigh impossible to remove it. He died right here. The herbs here are Salvia divinorum. They have a slight hallucinogenic effect to emphasize the ceremony. This elaborate box must be for the ritual dagger. This oil has a slight aroma of flowers and olive. The ointment smells mouse-like. I presume it is an aphrodisiac prepared from a Spanish fly. This one looks like a twisted symbol of Venus drawn in a hurry. The sign reminds me of the astrological symbol for Mars. Enough cigars to burn down the entire mansion. An open wound spoiled the carpet. Blood. A sturdy bottle met a not-so-sturdy human. It didn't break only because it was unopened. Why don't people tidy up after themselves? Werner, care to explain what is going on here?
On nights like these, it's not unusual for some attendees to get a little exuberant. It's part of the appeal. Unfortunately, it appears things have gotten out of hand. Yes, some are more prone to bend the rules of morality.
That's murder. I doubt there's anything left to bend. Why did you not tell me immediately? We were chatting about trivial matters for some time.
If I'm completely honest, Sherlock, I've consumed a rather potent cocktail of substances. My attention slips and drifts. But I'm glad I thought to call for you.
You sent me a disguise.
Oh dear, did I? Well, since I found the body, Mr. Manchios has agreed that you can investigate the matter. I promise my mind will behave itself going forward.
All right, then pull yourself together, Werner. What is it about these nights that you were so eager to share with me?
Well, they're not always in the evenings, but they are in the shadows. People gather to test their boundaries in a safe and consensual atmosphere, often with more stains than your typical crime scene. But that is the point. Who are we to judge?
I suppose that's fair. What about today, then? Was anything different?
Well, I was invited as a special guest. It was supposed to be a time of both divine and carnal pleasures. A scratch for every unconventional itch.
I imagine you're reeling from your shattered expectations.
On the contrary, there is still spectacle, stimulation, and release, merely in a different form. I like to let life entertain me.
Or death. Mr. Manchios is the owner of the manor, yes?
And the host of Cordona's most memorable parties. He promises even the ugliest guest a partner for the night. And for the ones with more unconventional tastes, Mr. Manchios provides other services.
What a caring person.
You cannot begin to imagine.
How did you discover the body? In between guzzles of alcohol?
I was set to perform in a fecundity rite with Fabio and came to inquire further. It was a staged ritual where he was to play the principle of life.
And the rehearsal was unsuccessful?
Who knows? I found him alone on the altar, his blood dripping to the floor.
And then?
Then I called Mr. Manchios. He was panicking, so I told him about you. We left the room and locked the door. Then we were...
filling time?
Waiting for you was stressful. We indulged in some simple comforts. Overindulged, perhaps.
Were you well acquainted with Fabio, the victim?
Everyone knew Fabio, or wanted to. His beauty was the talk of the island. Too handsome to go unnoticed. He was magnetic. Fat wallets fought for the privilege of having him. He offered the pleasures of performance, and more.
What about the fertility ritual? There was something about Fabio being a principle of life.
Fabio was supposed to portray the beauty of life's origin. Flowers, oil... Not this travesty that seems straight out the Inquisition.
So this ritual is not the fertility rite. What was it meant to look like?
It begins with a woman lying naked in a flower bed on the altar. She represents Gaia, the earth. As I cover her in oils, we chant for the principle. As our calls reach a climax, Fabio enters and copulates with her. After he finishes, I stab her with a dagger. That part's just pretend, of course.
But the intercourse is not?
I did not expect you to be such a prude. Are you a virgin? It is nothing to be ashamed of, but it would explain the colour of your cheeks. The fertility rite marks the start of our festivities. The principle of life is beautiful, intimate, essential. It must not be stopped.
Yet it appears that someone did stop it. What about the naked woman? Can you tell me anything about her?
Oh yes, Matista. She's one of Fabio's compatriots and a performer too. I haven't seen her today, actually.
When you discovered the body, was the door open?
No, it was locked. Oh, that reminds me. It's a minor detail, but the first time I came to speak to Fabio, I left without entering, having been unable to open the door.
You didn't have the key?
No, I had it. Don't look at me like that. I was mostly sober. I suspect there was a key in the other side of the door, blocking the lock.
That detail may very well be major, Werner. Well done. So you returned later only to find the lock was not blocked?
Correct. After an hour had passed, I tried again and was able to unlock the door. That's when I discovered poor, handsome Fabio.
The police remain unaware of this tragic event?
Some of them may be hiding behind their masks. They conceal many things. But we didn't want the authorities to create more problems. Besides, after a few cocktails, their incompetence will have soared to new heights.
How do you know I even want the case?
I promised you relaxation. If there's one thing I know about you, Sherlock, it's that nothing soothes you more than a good mystery.
Handcrafted and luxurious cufflinks. There's also a note. For my Fabio, Manchos.
Would you recognise me in one of these? I suppose not.
A useful tool for a disguise arsenal. The key is similar to the one that Vogel gave me. The capital F on the key fob might refer to Fabio. The pitcher is empty, but with puddles around it. Blood clots are adhered to the sides of the drain. Identical to the robes the guests are wearing. Props, decorations, and tools for a more detailed set. This is a different ritual.
How can anyone accept such behaviour?
Similar to the guests' robes, apart from the bloodstains.
You've got a lot to do, Sherlock.
A person leaned against the doorframe. They left a smudged trail of blood. A bloody handprint on an armchair. The wounded person was here for some time. There appear to be no further traces leading to the altar.
So, Sherry, do you have any ideas about the case?
Perhaps. I think I can deduce what happened here.
You've got a lot to do, Sherlock.
bottle was used as a weapon during a scuffle in the smoking lounge. Then, to ensure no one would interrupt, the murderer locked the door. The unconscious body of the victim was moved to the altar room. Once the body was on the altar, the murderer thrust the dagger into the victim's heart. Symbols were drawn with the blood. The wardrobe was used to hide the bloodied robe from anyone's eyes. The killer washed himself and took a clean robe from the hanger before leaving.
Are you all right? You're on the floor, not moving.
I think I know what happened here. I'm starting to put the pieces together.
Fabio was stabbed.
I see nothing gets past you, Werner. Yes, he was stabbed, but only after being knocked out in the next room and placed here. I do not yet know why.
So, who's responsible?
Well, it was one person working alone, and the murderer has now donned a robe. He or she could be hiding in plain sight. We have lost time, Werner, but your discretion may prove to be a benediction after all. The murderer had to have access to this room. After the crime, he used his own key to lock the door. So, who had the key to the altar room?
I'm not sure. As a special guest, I was provided one by Mr. Manchios. He should be able to tell you of any others.
Where can I find him?
Most likely in the main hall, entertaining his guests. He has a mask with golden stars. You can't miss him. But please be discreet. We don't want to risk disturbing the revelry.
Kurt Manchios, I presume. I'm Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, you must be the one Werner told me about. What a sweet voice you have. It must belong to a handsome young man. Can I call you Sherlock?
As you wish, Mr. Manchios. Mr. Vogel asked me to help you. The body in the altar room requires answers, and quickly. I suspect the murderer to still be here.
What? Lower your voice. I don't want anyone to hear us.
Did you know Fabio well?
People are starting to look at us, Sherlock. Change the subject. I can't believe what happened to him. To me. Such an atrocity. Think what it means for me. A wonderful evening for so many good, influential, and rich people has been ruined. I have betrayed all my promises of exotic delights.
I don't understand. Surely a murder would affect your reputation to a greater extent.
Please, isn't this why you are here? I thought you were a silent magician. Do your tricks and make it go away.
I need to find all those who had the key to the altar room. As far as I know, Mr. Vogel, Fabio, and you had access to it. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Also, Matista and Santos.
Santos? Who is that?
Santos Pinchetti, my major domo. In his opinion, at least.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Pinchetti and Matista. Do you have somewhere I might have a private conversation with them?
Of course, of course. Let me think. Matista is entertaining the guests somewhere, and Santos... Oh, yes. He will be busy with the servants. Or the cook. What's that noise? What's going on?
Praise, filth. You're under arrest.
Committed a crime, and now I have to free you, kiss your hand, and apologise for the inconvenience. Your Grace.
I did tell you that Mr. Vogel and I were innocent. I emphasized it in my statement.
Your statement? Thanks to some bigwigs who work for the so-called good of the country by releasing fleas like you. Thank God we have Vogel in his letter. Once I get to that goldfish, I'll...
Bigwig? Oh, my wretched brother Mycroft and his long nose.
Wait, did you say Mycroft? Mycroft Holmes? Are you the youngest son of Violet Holmes, rest her soul?
You knew my mother?
Not personally, no. Not exactly. I was working on the paperwork for that case.
Would you happen to remember anything of the events?
Well, I didn't make the inquiry, but I remember seeing some notes. Why?
You must help me. It would mean a great deal to me if you could find any information about that day.
Huh. Got you hooked, right? You know what? Stark and the others think they're the smartest here, thanks to you. Let me get this straight. Are you listening to me, lad?
I'm all ears.
Take this case. Report to me only, to Constable Harvey Oswald. I'll leave everything I have on this table. Find the murderer. Be a real copper. Question the suspects, make them sing, give me something substantial.
And if Mr. Vogel is not a suspect?
If he's innocent, then you can take your favourite degenerate away from here. If you slip or mess with the evidence, then trust me, your brother won't save you from my bludgeon. Meanwhile, I'll be checking the archive for you. If anybody asks, then you're a consulting detective.
Let's make a start then, partner.
I'm glad we managed to get the scoop before the raid.
Back on track to solve the case.
Look, I found Werner.
I'm doing my part. You should do yours too, Holmes. I'm doing my... You should do yours too, Holmes.
Werner, are you all right?
Oh, yes. Everything's fine. In fact, it's something of a family reunion. My brother spent quite some time in this place himself.
You should not be here. I told the police everything I knew, but they refused to let you go. They require proof to free you.
Ha! What did you expect? The mighty Sherlock Holmes swans in, tells the officers what to think, and the world obeys?
Of course not. Anyway, I struck a deal with the constable, and I've got a free hand in the investigation. I find proof to solve the case for him. He obtains files about my mother's death for me.
Well done. If one has the power or will and can act, then one must. I wonder, suppose you couldn't get the proof to your truth. Would you tell a lie to the guard that enabled my freedom, knowing my innocence? Would that not be just?
There are lines I will not cross, Werner. I will do my best to secure your release, but with proof, not deception.
Really? How many white lies have you told on this island? Why not for me? Why not another?
That is absurd. I can resolve this without compromises. Do not give up hope.
I can't follow you here. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I can't follow you here. I can't follow you here.
I have learned who told the police about the crime. It was Santos Pinchetti.
Do I know him?
The major domo of the manor. He cleans up after you?
Well, then he does his job perfectly. All but invisible. I couldn't tell you the first thing about him. I know you can untangle this mess.
I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald. You are Matista, Fabio's friend.
This body, yes, it's Matista. But it's a mere shell that will die someday. Just like Fabio.
Please accept my condolences for your friend.
Thank you.
I'm just here to ask questions and find Fabio's murderer.
It will not bring Fabio back.
Fabio and yourself were slaves, am I correct? You have a similar branding on your body.
Yes. It was a long time ago.
Couldn't help but also notice fresh cuts upon your forearms.
The cuts helped me to forget my past, to cover the old wounds and hide them.
How did you escape?
Something happened. One night the master fell down the stairs. I made him fall, and he died. We ran away that day. We managed to get on a ship and traveled here, to Cordona. Fabio and I started a new life here. It was very hard at first, but it became better with time. Until today.
The bruises on your neck are not self-inflicted. Someone else made them.
Some guests can't contain themselves. They even bite, sometimes.
Did you hear Basilio Coppello? Did you hear?
I'm guessing you didn't get what you were after. It happens. I always wanted a pet cat.
Did you hear Basilio? Did you hear?
I was being very stealthy, Sherlock, and you threw it all away. Come on, pull yourself together.
Did you hear Basilio Coppello is in jail? A dead body was found in his shoulder. Did you hear Basilio Coppello is in jail? A dead body was found in his shoulder. Did you hear Basilio Coppello is in jail? A dead body was found.
You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer. You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer. You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer.
Have you considered Mr. Santos Pinchetti as a suspect?
The snitch? Have you seen him? I mean, my breath could knock him down. What's so special about him?
As a major domo, he has keys that open all the rooms, including the one to the crime scene. He could have testified only to circumvent suspicion, don't you think? We need to question him.
Right. I'll send our men to fetch him. Stay here. They brought him in, Mr. Holmes. Here's the key to interrogation room number 7. Mr. Pinchetti didn't even resist, our men said.
Thank you.
You can question Mr. Pinchetti in the interrogation room.
Did you hear?
Good day. Your ticket, please, if you want me to help you. Don't you understand what a ticket is? This is not a ticket. Don't you understand what a ticket is?
I'd like to check the evidence from this case.
And who are you?
Oswald sent me. I'm a consulting detective.
His partner, then? Let me see. Ah, a ritual murder. What a bunch of degenerates. Wait a second, I'll bring it to the table.
All the keys of the mansion on one golden ring. A heavily perfumed handkerchief with the initials KM in the corner. It's a miracle this ruby hasn't tempted anyone. An emergency kit for boredom. Not the time for privacy. That's not for bedtime reading. This Ex Libris belongs to Manchios Library. The book describes a ritual similar to the one performed in the altar room. A handcrafted charm that contains hair and nail clippings. Her key to the altar room. Werner's personal sketchbook. Thank you, officer.
Did you hear?
I recognize the key from the altar room among these. Mr. Pinchetti, a pleasure to meet you. I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald.
I've already told him everything I know. I'm only a witness, sir. Everything's in my report.
And I've read it. You forgot to mention that you hold the keys to the room where Fabio was found. I need only to find if the crime was intentional.
But I need to return to my duties.
I doubt the house will fall without you, Mr. Pinchetti. Just be still for a few seconds. You are the major domo of a rich mansion, and you seem barely able to afford decent clothing. You hide under heavy makeup a skin disease that might be treated with more onerous but less harmful means. Do you have money troubles?
Do not have a lot of means. The pay is below what you might expect.
But you could easily change your job if your employer does not meet your elementary needs.
One can change his employer, that is true.
And the blood on your shoe, where does that come from?
I don't actually know. Perhaps from a guest?
Did you know Fabio?
Not personally. He was a frequent guest, and cleaning the mess after his performances was tedious. Mr. Manchios always had a role for him, and mainly the leading one. The parties were always Fabio-centric.
And Batista? Was she as popular as her partner?
Don't tell her I said this, but I do not think so. Mr. Manchios hired her only because Fabio refused to work without her. Mr. Manchios used to see her as a worker. She was tasked with entertaining the guests, unlike Fabio, who could pick and choose. Don't expect me to know anything about it. Don't expect me to know anything about it.
Mr. Manchios says that you begged him to be included in the heritage. Isn't that a little extreme, even for a major domo?
He's not only my employer, he's my uncle. And I'm his next of kin. The only one. Mr. Manchios flatly refuses to pay a family member. All I have to do is repay his so-called love, cleaning up the filth after perverts and decadents. He's imprisoned me. The best I can hope for is a new broom. That's why I wanted to have my part of the inheritance.
Is it that bad? You have a roof above your head, a salary, and the status of a major domo.
For God's sake. I'm forced to dye and stitch my threadbare clothes, and the holes in my shoes are painful. I'm ashamed every time a guest looks at me closely.
Why do you think your uncle treats you this way?
My mother, my uncle's sister, had me illegitimately. She died, and I was given the surname of one of the maids.
But you are entitled to some of the money that belongs to your family.
He thinks not. I was not responsible for my mother's death. I work hard, and he pays me nothing. I feed on the leftovers. While he wastes our estate's property on decadent parties, he paid Fabio handsomely and showered him with expensive gifts for their disgusting relationship. Please let me out.
I don't know what to say. I've nothing to say. I don't know what to say. I've nothing to say. I've nothing to add.
This book, The Power of Love, Blood, and Mandrake, what do you hope to achieve?
To learn more about the invisible strengths that govern us. Occultism is real. The master who fell that night when Fabio and I escaped, I made him fall. I cast a spell on him and it worked.
Or was it a coincidence?
The universe is rarely so lazy.
If you say so. This is the letter the police found in Mr. Vogel's pocket. Fabio wrote it. Do you know anything about it?
I don't. Although I can feel Fabio's energy. It's there, but it refuses to let me analyze it.
Do you practice occult rituals?
For protection? For fortune? To wash away the ugliness of the world? Sometimes to survive. I have the gift, and I'm learning to use it better.
Did you use your gift on Fabio?
I only used white magic. Love charms lately. Fabio became so distant. I just wanted him to be with me, but I suppose I'm not as skilled as I thought.
Good day, Mr. Manchios. I am Constable Oswald's partner in this investigation.
Be quick and gentle. Some of your colleagues are untrained boors. Although I don't mind meeting young officers. The new blood here.
If you cooperate in finding Fabio's murderer, there will be no need to meet with the boars again.
That voice. Werner's friend? You're the policeman. What a disappointment.
Only an undercover agent can scour a ditch full of deviants. I am a consulting detective, although I'm capable of replacing the entire department through my consultations.
Sharp-tongued, I like it. May I presume this tongue will get us out of this trouble? I would be so indebted and glad to repay you.
Nothing's changed. I'm looking for the murderer. That's the only way to get us out of trouble.
But it shouldn't take much time, correct? We're all busy, after all.
I need to examine you first. You are a little over the top with your use of makeup, Mr. Manchios. Is it so difficult for you to acknowledge your age?
Well, Sherlock, that's easy for you to say to an old man when you look as though you are barely 15.
But still, it shouldn't be an issue for someone of your status.
For people of my age, it isn't an issue, no. But the younger ones can be so afraid of wrinkles and grey flecks. I have to adapt.
Such a methodical man who cares for his body but misses the soap under his fingernails. Are you so impatient, or perhaps even impulsive?
I wouldn't call myself that. Silly little details. If I missed it, it wasn't important. Or rather, it was less important than who or what I was focused on.
What was Fabio like? His personality, his habits? Anything you can tell me?
He was the brightest star of my parties. Young, magnetic, and full of energy. I don't even want to mention his beauty. Otherwise, I'll be sobbing.
An expensive champion, I imagine.
His performances were flawless. He deserved his payment. Do you think he was murdered because of money?
Possibly. What about the other guests? Were they used to opening their wallets as well?
I wouldn't restrict my guests from anything. I'm sure Fabio received a few coins from others for his services.
Mr. Vogel told me a little about your parties, but I would like to know more directly from you.
I'm all yours, Sherlock. You have me arrested and locked here with you alone.
Why did you invite Mr. Vogel as your special guest?
He's a pretty fellow. He's capable of surprising the public. He has a talent for saying words that no one else would wish to either say or hear.
I suppose I can't argue with that.
He is a free addition to the eccentricity of the party, which is fine by me, as long as it enhances my party.
I'd like to know who you usually invite to your parties.
Free minds who are able to leave reality for an evening, who can taste forbidden fruit without prejudice. There is nothing that quite spices up life like these parties, assuming one is old enough and has worked many years for the good of one's country.
All true labourers, I see.
I've no idea about that.
Do you have any idea who tipped off the police to raid your mansion, Mr. Manchios?
Of course. It was you. I could even say you Sherlocked me in here.
A good guess, but the wrong one. The fellow who did that was Mr. Pinchetti, your major domo.
What? Santos? But how could he even know? If he's not the murderer himself. The ungrateful swine. He has dared to besmirch my reputation.
Not a very eloquent choice of words.
What should I call him then, since he's a snitch? Make him talk, Sherlock. I'm quite certain he knows more about the murder than he has told the police. That's not something I know much about. You'd better ask someone else. You'd better ask someone else.
Do you recognize this book? Could Matista have borrowed it from your library?
She didn't ask me. How ungrateful.
The things described in the book were inspiration for the rituals you performed?
Do you really believe that blood, symbols, and incantations can resurrect the dead? They are just eerie tales with a mix of occultism and voodoo. My rituals are a stage to show some of the forbidden pleasures. You'd better ask someone else. That's not something I know much about.
I've read the letter about your will. A harsh method of ridiculing Santos. I doubt he will use mustache wax when he wears no mustache to begin with.
Where did you get it? Is the slug here? Tell him I shouldn't have to provide for him. He's a grown man who shouldn't sit on his uncle's neck. He conceives himself as my only heir.
And who is he to you?
He's a leech on my aging body. He has only added problems to my life since the death of his mother.
I fail to see why you made him your major domo.
He needed to know his place, so I taught him.
I've read this letter from Fabio. It had no addressee, but it was found in Mr. Vogel's pocket.
Werner? Strange. I didn't think the two of them corresponded.
I'm sure there is some explanation. Would you care to read it?
Call me superstitious, but I don't care to read a letter from a dead man. I've no idea about that. You'd better ask someone else. You'd better ask someone else. That's not something I know much about. You'd better ask someone else. I've no idea about that. You'd better ask someone else. That's not something I know much about. You'd better ask someone else. That's not something I know much about.
You bought an expensive pair of cufflinks for Fabio. Were they his price? Or were they a tip for an exclusive show?
It was pure business. Fabio escorted me a few times. I was merely showing my gratitude.
This pair cost a small fortune. You must be extremely grateful, then. Tell me more.
You've thrust a knife in an exposed nerve, Sherlock. Yes, he was my protégé and my beacon also. With my experience and his beauty, we could have achieved anything. I had faith in him. I would have made him. I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party.
I know I can handle the news.
I can't go back to prison.
I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I can't follow you here. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I can't follow you here. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this.
So the police found a letter from Fabio in your pocket?
I cannot tell if it was truly in my pocket at all. Perhaps it was placed there later.
Well, that is one hypothesis. If it were true, then how did it get there?
No clue. But this night has been rather eccentric. Such a detail could have easily eluded me.
Indeed. Do you recall reading it?
I can't remember that either. But I tend to respect privacy. Reading others' personal notes is not one of my perversities. The air here is rather refreshing. I'd even recommend that some of my friends visit the place.
Please let me out.
Did you hear, Basilio? Did you hear?
I was being very stealthy, Sherlock, and you threw it all away. Come on, pull yourself together.
Did you hear? Did you hear?
catch that, Sherry. I didn't. Better listen more closely.
Did you hear?
In the police. Let's pretend to be cops, eh? We could just stand around and look confused.
This area is restricted.
I have reason to believe that the intended recipient of the incriminating letter may have been Kurt Manchios.
Well, that makes sense. Too bad I can't remember how I came to possess it. Though I did spend quite some time with Mr. Manchios during the party.
Unfortunately, even with an answer, that may still not be enough to clear you with the police. But fear not, I will persevere.
I hope your attempt to put things straight will make up for...
You being on a bender?
Touché. Are you done yet? Can I leave?
Please let me out.
Could Fabio have written this letter to Kurt Manchios?
Oh. That could be. I never thought Mr. Manchios could make Fabio that angry, though.
What do you mean?
Well, Fabio wanted to disassociate from Mr. Manchios. Clients who are in love are both a blessing and a curse.
But Fabio was here tonight.
Money. In our line of work, we can't afford to turn down clients who pay as well as Kurt Manchios.
Was Fabio afraid of Mr. Manchios?
Not at all. The old toad wouldn't dare to do more than sweet talk and touching. Talk can be forgotten, and touching washed away. I know I can handle the news.
I can't go back to prison.
There is undeniable evidence that you were the original recipient of this letter.
What are you talking about? Is it addressed to me?
Your protege wanted a fresh start, it seems. This is sufficient to charge you.
Me? Hurt my star? Are you insane that you would accuse me of such a thing?
He did not consider himself as yours. Since you deny everything, let's move on. Do you have any idea as to how the letter could have ended up in Mr. Vogel's pocket?
You were the detective. Perhaps he took it from Fabio. Werner was a little high. I can't... my head around such a tragedy at my party.
You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer.
This letter proves nothing. Fabio wrote it to Mr. Manchios. It's time to free Mr. Vogel.
Do you really think I'm that naive? I need proof, not words from his friend.
Very well. Mr. Pinchetti told me that Mr. Manchios was lavishing Fabio with expensive and eccentric gifts. The letter mentions rich rewards and attempts to buy Fabio with them. It was written to Mr. Manchios. Who else was showering Fabio with luxuries to buy him? It doesn't fit Mr. Vogel's character.
Look here. We had a deal. Give me the murderer and then take your friend with you. I won't budge otherwise.
Well, fine, but you're just wasting time.
Continue our investigation. While I look at the papers.
I appreciate your cooperation, Mr. Manchios. Wait just a moment, I have something to check.
I know you can untangle this mess.
Thank you for your cooperation, Mr. Pinchetti. We'll continue later. The murder of Fabio did not have a ritual purpose, Mr. Manchios. It was staged by a man who wished to distract the investigation.
That might be true. That poor girl Matista wouldn't dare to kill the only man who cared for her. So, Santos.
Mr. Pinchetti snatched at the chance to solve his problems.
Ungrateful little scum. Will he be executed?
But what for? He informed the police as to the crime, that was all. He couldn't stage the ritual, but he found the body, I believe.
I can't believe it. Why did Werner do it?
Mr. Vogel. He had no reason, and he won't be a scapegoat as you plan. You put Fabio's letter in his pocket when he was intoxicated, didn't you?
You can't be serious.
We can very often deduce someone's life by their shoes or their fingernails. You are a meticulous person, but this murder was fairly traumatic and filthy. After you stabbed Fabio, you were covered in blood. You panicked and neglected to rinse the soap from under your fingernails. The devil is in the details, Mr. Manchios.
Nonsense. I missed it simply because of the busy schedule of the party.
Of course, a staged murder was certainly not planned. You're at the twilight of your life. You have no partner, you have no children. You had feelings, however, for one man. That was Fabio. You loved him. That is, you wished to own him with money and gifts. But he was also a free mind, was he not? He turned his back on you. Quite unjust. Love, so cruel and painful, and Fabio, with his words and deeds, made you feel the more wretched. So you killed him.
You must surely perceive that my sensitive nature wouldn't allow me to hurt anyone.
You staged the murder as a satanic ritual. It was easy for you, since you were the one who wrote the scenarios for the parties. It was your way of avoiding suspicion. A respectable man in his 60s,
Early 60s.
who hosts the cream of Cordona's society, cannot possibly be a murderer. But the guests who behave like animals in his mansion, of course, one of them could have killed Fabio.
I did oversee a few of the rituals, but I did not stage Fabio's death.
The young performer played with your emotions. That was painful to realize. You spent so much time and effort to be with Fabio, but he didn't respond in the way you would have liked. You wanted to be loved, but Fabio shattered your dreams. In the smoking lounge, he teased and mocked you. He wanted you to suffer by offering himself to others. The deception was unbearable. You struck him, and then you staged the ritual. You planted the letter in Vogel's pocket and attempted to set up Matista.
What poppycock? Sherlock, stop this game now.
There is no stop word, Mr. Manchios. Relax and enjoy it. I'll pass the remainder of this case to Constable Oswald. He'll know what to do with you.
I can't believe you dared to accuse me.
I have a name for you. Kurt Manchios.
Is that so? The Master of the Sabbath?
The man himself. Mr. Manchios couldn't stand to lose control over his lover. A deadly revenge that deserves a proper sentence. I have all the evidence to charge him.
A degenerate and a murderer. I'll make a name thanks to that for sure. As for my part, not everything was in place. Perhaps some documents were transferred somewhere else, but I couldn't find a trace of them. Then I remembered. The discarded document drawers where we put the lost papers or the badly labelled ones, including the crime scene report of Violet Holmes's case. Everything I've found is on the desk here. Take it.
Your persistence has saved me.
Yeah, well, we had a deal after all. Your friend is free then. You can leave.
Good luck, Constable.
Don't forget the file.
Garden. There's a garden behind our manor. How could I forget? That's where it all happened, where it all went wrong.
Sherry, it looks like you've almost found what you wanted.
Oh, you did it, Sherlock! The case is closed and all rewards belong to the winner. Bravo!
It is merely the triumph of the truth.
Is it? No compromises? No lies? You're happy with your decisions?
Whatever the truth, it had to be revealed. The victim deserved it.
Well, you seem confident in the value of your actions. I guess since I'm free, you were heard after all. By the way, did you get that precious information about your mother? Oh, not that you must.
Yes, I did.
Forgive my intrusion in such a personal matter. I simply worry I'm failing to be of much help to you.
Actually, you were. For some reason, all the archives on the case had disappeared. This was a rare opportunity to obtain the impossible.
Outrageous. Perhaps someone found the truth unpleasant. Society usually rejects those who speak with too much honesty, doesn't it?
A comfortable lie is often preferred to an uncomfortable truth. Still, I believe that the latter should prevail, and I cannot remain silent.
That's quixotism at its best. Your mere truth cannot defeat institutions, systems, and power. Etiquette, religion, marriage, they're all lies told to preserve connections, love, and sanity, and it's all corruptible.
Lies destroy human dignity. How could you make a free decision without any knowledge of the truth?
Are we really free to decide anything in this world, Sherlock?
I take your point. There are some limits on us all, some compromises we must make. Despite my best efforts, we cannot remain entirely objective.
I didn't want to sadden you, Sherlock, only to make you think beyond your boundaries. You're a walking contradiction, Sherlock. You refuse to lie to others, but constantly lie to yourself. How long until the train comes off the track? I cannot look away, but perhaps I should take a few steps back. You're an accident waiting to happen, dear. Until then, I shall bid you adieu.
What a long day.
Excuse me, but are you Mr. Capello? My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm hoping you could spare a moment to talk.
Manners, what a pleasant surprise. Most of your colleagues have lacked even the simplest of common courtesies.
You're a suspect, sir, but not yet a criminal. I shan't treat you as such. Your case is refreshingly unusual, and I wish to get to the bottom of it.
Manners and enthusiasm. Huh. May you go far, young man. What can I help you with?
You are surprisingly composed for a man accused of murder. Not so easily shaken, I take it.
Life is full of surprises. You'd be astonished how many deals go sour due to a force majeure. One becomes skilled at adapting. I am confident this will all be set straight. Until then, I will endure.
Much how you endure that injured hand. Those bruises look painful, but you seem barely aware of it. Were you attacked?
No, a minor accident, nothing more. My heady days as a man out to prove his valor are far behind me. I now know that to succeed in life, one must stay calm and plan ahead. The world will turn your way eventually. And if it does not, then one must persuade it so.
Please, tell me how you ended up in this situation.
Well, this morning some clients arrived to finalize their purchase of a Capello modular safe. But when we opened the door, out tumbled a dead man.
And I take it this wasn't normal?
No, I normally keep my corpses in the wardrobe. Please, young man, spare me your wit. The rest of the day was a blur. I recognized the victim, and it seems so did the police. That was enough to make me the main suspect.
Who sent for the authorities?
No one. As it happens, we had a break-in last night. Nothing was stolen, but for insurance purposes, the report had to be made. So, police officers just happened to be on the premises when we discovered the body in the safe.
You mentioned you were showing your wares to some prospective buyers when the safe was opened. Who were they?
Clerks from the bank. They inspected the safe from top to bottom yesterday. I assumed the sale was just a formality at that point.
And the safe was closed?
It's usually open, but it locks automatically when the door swings closed. That's another marvelous Capello invention.
A coffin that locks itself. Marvellous indeed. Help me grasp your movements yesterday. What time did you meet the customers from the bank, and did you have any other appointments?
Yesterday, the bank clerks arrived at 10 a.m. Afterwards, I was alone in the office until my wife Augusta came in at 3 p.m. I left for home at 6:30 p.m.
And what about this morning?
Our meeting for the demonstration was set for 9 a.m. I arrived about half an hour prior in order to prepare.
I have one final inquiry. Do you recall the time at which the safe door was closed?
Young man, I may just as well ask you when you closed your cigar case. I have opened our safes 12 times a day for 12 years. I do not recall.
I'd like to inquire about the burglary.
I'm not sure I see the connection, but if you wish to know more, talk to Billy Lloyd, the night watchman. He scared off the thief.
Was it also Billy that discovered the burglar?
No, my wife did. She had stayed late yesterday. Poor Augusta. At least she's safer with the police than at home alone.
You say you became the suspect when the police identified the victim. Is there history between you?
Surely you jest. That man and I have never met and never would, unless he became the first deity in history to use our products.
Some sort of family feud? I'm afraid I'm not familiar.
You must be new to Cordona. It's an old tale. Back in Italy, generations ago, the deities tried to ruin our family business. They nearly succeeded. The Capellos rightfully struck back, but there has been bad blood ever since.
And does that blood flow in you too?
I told you, sir, it's an old story, or it was. I fear this horrible event portends worse to come. My wife may be in danger as we speak.
Well, Mr. Capello, I think that's all I need from you at present. Where can I find your office?
Here, take my card. Billy should be on site to assist with the investigation. And please, sir, would you check on my wife before you depart?
Thank you. I will endeavour to speak with her before I leave the station.
Please, treat her gently. Women lack our resilience when it comes to ordeals like this. I shall eagerly await your return. After all, there's little else I can do.
Mrs. Capello, please wait in the office. The inspector will be here soon.
You must be the inspector.
Would you be Augusta Capello?
Must I really repeat myself to every baby-faced man in uniform that strides in?
Forgive me, I am not the inspector, but I am working on your husband's case.
Then I have nothing to say to you. Come back with the inspector in charge so that we may dispense with the endless repetition.
Whilst I prefer German composers, the harp solo from Lucia di Lammermoor stands out as one of Donizetti's finest contributions to the form. I'm sure Basilio thought the same.
He did. How? Did he tell you how we met?
Oh, there was no need. It is trivial to observe how much you value your memories of playing harp in the orchestra, and even an amateur Italian harpist would be familiar with Donizetti's finest work.
Yes. Music is a balm in these uncertain times. It is nice to meet another who appreciates it.
Much as I appreciate the truth. Please, Mrs. Capello, let me help you and your husband.
I am not unappreciative, sir. But I'm afraid I presently lack the strength.
Basilio tells me you were present during the burglary yesterday. What can you tell me about it?
Oh, it gave me such a fright. I fainted, fell to the floor. I wish I could help you, but, I'm just utterly useless. Please, I want to rest before the inspector arrives.
Were you familiar with the deceased man found in the safe?
No, I did not know him, nor can I conceive of how the poor soul ended up there.
You've had quite the day, Mrs. Capello. I shall leave you be. If I have further questions, I may visit again later.
Hello there.
Ill-fitting pants, wonky nose, and hair that appears to have been cut by your own hand. You must be Billy Lloyd.
Oh, it's you! I knew you'd come.
You did?
You're Mirko Gallia, the best investigative journalist on Cordona. I'm a fan of your work.
Alas, you're mistaken. The name is Sherlock Holmes, and your employer...
Oh, of course. Discretion. I'm sorry. I doubt the policeman upstairs heard me, though, so your secret is safe with me, Sherlock.
Mr. Capello told me you were present during the burglary and scared the criminal off the property.
Hey, you should have seen it. As soon as the burglars saw me, they went white as death. Ran out the back door of the office. I heard a thud and cat shrieks, so I think they went over the railing and into the bushes out back. Clearly, my reputation precedes me. Mr. Capello was so proud.
You're a guard, but you didn't give chase.
Well, by the time I made it outside, they were miles away. So I went back to help Mrs. Capello. That kind of gentlemanly courtesy is why I'm so well regarded round these parts.
When did the burglary happen?
Oh, after 10 in the evening. I was just talking to Mrs. Capello.
Does she normally work this late?
No, it's the first time it happened. But usually I'm alone at night. I was explaining to Mrs. Capello how drinking water every 3 hours can help with digestion, when she excused herself and went back upstairs. Then there was a scream, and I ran up to the office and...
I know what happened next, thank you. What about last evening? Do you have any more details about the break-in?
Of course. I write down everything that happens during my watch. Take a look.
Fastidious in its mundanity, but I will make of it what I can. What did the thief look like?
Shorter than me, mid-20s, a huge scar across the right cheek going from the eye. Short hair. She didn't look like a ghost. Too corporeal.
Hold on. She? You didn't think to mention the burglar was a woman?
Why did you assume it was a man? It's the 19th century, sir. Ambitious young women are out there pursuing a career, and I, for one, encourage it.
Yes, yes, spare me the sermon. I must go and inspect the crime scene. If I have further questions, Mr. Lloyd, I will find you.
Oh, don't worry. I won't be able to keep away.
Right. Strength, security, peace of mind. Tacky.
Well, you know, that's your opinion, good sir.
The best on the market. You can wallop them, you can burn them. Nothing will work.
I bet he tested that himself.
Clear indications of blunt trauma, possibly inflicted before the victim was in the safe. Bulging veins, cyanosis, bloodshot eyes, odd foaming in the mouth. Bruises, torn nails, bleeding was severe and continued at length. Clothes are not fully buttoned. Was the victim dressing or undressing? Blood on the safe door could have been left by the victim. What a rotten way to die.
Yeah, what a shame.
The bottle is half empty. A wine, well enjoyed. Recently used, but why would it be here? Concert program from 7 years ago. An Augusta La Duca is listed as a harpist in the orchestra. Two theatre tickets for Shakespeare's Othello. The performance is tomorrow.
Have to respect the classics. He clearly needs a better work-life balance.
Well-organised workplace?
Mr. Capello is the best.
Okay, this chap is seriously creepy.
Do you know anything else about the dead body in the safe?
Well, there is the rule of threes. You can survive 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 hours in harsh weather, and 3 minutes
of you talking
without air. I'm sorry, did you say something?
No, very enlightening, Mr. Lloyd, thank you. Do you know anything about these entries?
No, but Mr. Capello is so well organised. I use a different method, very popular among the Buddhist monks. You create an attic in your mind and...
I'm familiar. Keep it tidy, put only necessary information in, remove unnecessary information regularly.
What? No, it's called an attic. You just stuff it with everything. You never know what might prove helpful someday.
That is profoundly upsetting.
I know of it, but forgot.
Do you know whose keys these are?
Probably Mr. Capello's. Police took him so suddenly. I have the same set, but it's more efficient. Has fewer keys.
So you don't have access to the entire office?
No. Only Mr. and Mrs. Capello have the key to the back door.
Do you know what this note might be about?
I cannot presume to know another's mind, of course, but I think Mr. and Mrs. Capello have been having some familial difficulties. probably due to their lack of children. One of my oldest friends helps couples with their relationship troubles, and he always says...
You don't have to continue.
Oh, well, he says that to me as well, but I'm perfectly happy to.
No, I insist.
Oh, actually... No.
Is this code memo still valid?
Oh, yes. It's the same combination code everywhere. It corresponds to Mrs. Capello's birthday, actually. In fact, during this year's celebration, I was allowed a sip of champagne. That's when I had to dry my trousers, and then I had to...
Okay, thank you, Billy.
I know of it, but... forgot. I don't know.
Have you noticed anything different about Mrs. Capello recently?
Not really. She talks to me more when I start my shift. Probably because of the 100 Best Curry Recipes book I'm reading. Oh, and we've been running out of paper a lot lately, so she often sends me out to buy more for her. She's very particular about the paper we use. Only one store on the island stocks it, and it's on the other side of the town. But I'm really fast.
Interesting, thank you.
I know of it, but forgot.
What can you tell me about Mr. Capello?
He's a good employer, but very focused on work, and very serious about security, of course, since he employed a night watch of my caliber. Not everyone appreciates his strict business approach, though. Store clerks don't seem to last long in the office.
Good to know.
I'm going to catch the criminal myself, but later.
The letter F is inscribed within a 4-leaf clover pattern. Passe muraille. Walk through walls in French. Our thief seems rather arrogant. A comprehensive set of lockpicks, recently cleaned with no fresh scratches.
Maybe it would be wise to take a look around outside before we enter. Just a thought.
Nice to see you.
Our clothes will be warm. Step right up. Why would you even come here then?
The best, afraid. I've nothing left in stock.
The worst clothes at the best price.
May I ask you something?
Go away.
Despite being used, these goods are still fine.
Other gangs are planning an attack on the backyard, boys. The part.
كيف حالك؟ مرحبا.
سوف آخذ
كان الأمر صعبا لكنني نجحت. تسعدني رؤيتك.
Şimdi çok daha iyi hissediyorum.
أشعر أفضل بكثير الآن.
Our clothes will be... Step right up. I hope you'll be comfortable. In it.
One man's trash is another man's...
Hello, mister. I've got some information for you. Heard you were asking.
Have you now? Well, let's hear it.
So the bandits, right? Not coming. Bigger fish to fry, they say. Bigger worries.
Interesting. Are you absolutely sure?
Heard it with my own ears. Lord is my witness.
Oh, good. Here you go. Buy yourself something nice. Might I suggest soap?
Oh, thank you, mister. Thank you.
What a simpleton.
Supposed to be Philip from London. Good impression.
The best of flea markets.
Buy some clothes and help me feed my family.
Great to see you.
Buy some clothes and help me feed my family.
One man's trash is another man's furniture.
أهلا.
Extra! Extra! Headless eels floundering. Friedrich Panther, the head of the eels gang, has been arrested. Alongside the gold, ready to be smuggled.
كيف حاله؟
Couldn't miss the party.
Too simple.
I'm coming.
Ow! Take a rest. Give him the pepper snuff.
Just die!
It's all yours now. Go for it.
Don't cry, you'll live.
The snuff's ready.
Too simple.
Give him the pepper snuff.
Take a rest, my
The snuff's ready.
Don't cry.
Give him the pepper snuff. Time to knock this guy out.
Take a rest.
The snuff's ready.
Don't bother moving.
Give him the pepper snuff. We can overcome the brute now.
Take a rest, my...
The snuff's ready.
Okay, I give up.
This seems a better place for our conversation. I hope you're more talkative than your friends, Miss Sevigny.
You can't do anything. You're not even a policeman. And I didn't do it. I didn't do anything.
Is there nothing you didn't do, Miss Sevigny? Thieve for the gang, break into the Armor Capello office, kill Niccolo Detti?
What? Kill? I didn't kill nobody. No, How?
So you admit the rest. I suppose you won't mind explaining some things to me then. You were in the Armor Capello office yesterday evening, Miss Sevigny. The same place that Niccolo Detti was found dead today. What happened?
How would you know? You can't prove anything?
It's written all over you, Miss Sevigny. I presume you did not intend your evening to end with a fall over the railing and a fracas with felines? Need I continue?
Zut alors! It was just a job, nothing else. I was asked to come. Here, see for yourself. I don't know who hired me, but I think they wanted to pin the crime on me. Poor Niccolo.
When were you offered this job?
Mon Dieu. I don't remember precisely. I think the letter arrived around 9:30 in the evening. It sounded tricky, but the money was good.
And you arrived at the office?
Perhaps 45 minutes later. I am very good, sir. I was in and out in 5 minutes.
I don't like lies.
No, wait. Okay. It took 15 minutes. All right? Still impressive, no?
You knew Mr. Detti, how?
Niccolo and I grew up together. I hadn't seen him in years, then ran into him on the street, smiling with some lovely lady on his arm.
And that was the last time you saw him alive?
Wait, until I found him dead yesterday. That same woman was there, too. It can't be coincidence.
You saw a woman in the office?
Mm-hmm. She started screaming, so I slammed the safe door and ran when I saw a guard coming.
Your thieving days may well be over, Miss Sevigny. Until this matter is resolved, you will remain here. Good day.
Oh, Sherry, disappointing. We were putting on a show and you call it off halfway through.
What exactly was your relationship with Niccolo Detti?
Who? What are you talking about?
Madam, please, a young woman dedicated to her music and an enthusiastic artist, your marriage to Basilio could not have offered all you needed. And then about 6 months ago you met Niccolo Detti. There was a spark, you started to see each other. It brought passion back into your life.
How could you?
But your tryst didn't go unnoticed. Felicia Sevigny spotted you with Niccolo, but rather than cease your affair, you took care to avoid the public eye. You started working with your husband at the office, and met your lover there in the evening after Basilio departed. Billy would not notice, and you hoped neither would your husband. Do I have this right so far?
Yes. I love Basilio, I truly do. But his first passion is his work. I respect that, but it left me adrift. Niccolo. Oh, sweet Niccolo. He was the man I needed. If he had had any other name, I would have talked to Basilio. But he was a Detti.
And your husband suspected something.
I think he did. He asked questions. Billy's schedule was moved forwards here. Yes, he suspected.
And thus we arrive at the heart of the matter. How did Mr. Detti end up deceased in the safe?
I do not know.
Madam?
I don't know anything about his death.
Are you sure this is how you wish to proceed?
It is the truth. Please, just leave me be.
Apologies, Mrs. Capello, but I must go. It is a shame it has come to this, but it is patently obvious that you are responsible for Niccolo Detti's death.
How dare you? I wouldn't want him to.
I see you need some persuasion. I know that Niccolo Detti went to the office to meet you. It was a midnight tryst. Niccolo would visit the office once Basilio left, but this time he returned. So you hid Niccolo in the safe. A foolish move.
I didn't know the code had changed. It was the only choice. I couldn't let him be found. I loved him.
Really? You could have saved his life by simply speaking with your husband, but you sought to free him another way. To free Mr. Detti, you hired Felicia Sevigny, a petty burglar, to crack the safe, and as a result, you killed your lover.
No, It's because the combination had changed. It is not my fault.
You are splitting hairs, Mrs. Capello. The fact remains you chose to risk Niccolo's life rather than call your husband. And I know why. You were afraid how it would affect the reputation of the Capellos, and you feared what your husband would do as a consequence.
He's a good man, but he cares about his business, about the family. It would have destroyed him.
And now he's accused of murder, Mrs. Capello. How considerate of you.
Mio Dio, how did this all happen?
Despite your best intentions, Mrs. Capello, I believe you are to blame for this sorry affair, not Basilio.
I think you're right, sir. Basilio, he does not deserve this. None of this.
It is not my place to decide what is deserved, but perhaps you now know what to say to the inspector.
I do.
Good day, madam.
I don't think Mrs. Capello did this on purpose. I would have let her go. Come on, Sherry. Say, I am the law.
Oh, what a long day.